All right, everybody. Welcome back to Locked Off Logic podcast. We've got a special surprise episode this week for you with our good friend D Riptide, Darius French on Instagram. We'll link him up. You can find him. He saw a movie, and you can tell, like, if I get the story wrong, bro, like, you can correct me, but he saw a movie that impacted him so much, for better or for worse, that he was like, we got to do a podcast about this. We got to do, like, a surprise pop up podcast about Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights, the movie starring Jacob Elordi and, why am I forgetting her name, bro? Harley
Yes,
Quinn.
exactly. I was waiting for you
Margot
to I was
Robbie.
waiting for you to get that. I hope I didn't have to correct you.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Like one of the reviews that I was looking at, and just a disclaimer for everybody, I have not seen this film. This will basically be me talking to D about his thoughts on the film, what he thought on it. This film came out right in the middle of the Sundance Film Festival. And for those of you that have ever been to Sundance, like Sundance is awesome. Like I saw so many amazing films at
On
Sundance,
Valentine's
but
Day
those
too,
movies
no
are
less.
not cheap to go to. Like, yeah, like bro, it's like $50, not 50, like $40 a movie to go to Sundance. And so my cinema budget is still recuperating from Sundance. But honestly, like D, like all the reviews on this are
Yes,
really
that
strange.
much I will say, but
Um,
I want to say it's been like that for the majority of Emerald Fennell's like entire catalog, and that's something I want to get like out of the way like right now. Before I actually get into delve more into my thoughts on Wuthering Heights, I want to do a little mini retrospective on Emerald Fennell's previous films first, because I remember being so I don't know if irate is the right word with Wuthering Heights, but I felt so empty. I felt so confused. I felt so heated after watching that movie. I sort of went on a little binge, like rabbit hole, to sort of, to sort of like figured out who the director was and what the big deal was. And then I kept hearing more and more stuff about the movie. And then when I realized who the director was, I was like, oh yeah, that was. And that's when I was like, and that's when I was like, okay, I gotta go back. I gotta rewatch these because because like either I've grown up and I'm looking at these wrong, or she's always been like this. So I just so yeah, and and Tyler, this is gonna be your chance to sort of like change my mind on some of these I have because I
don't you fuck with Promising Young Women. That is my film, bro. Don't you fuck with it. Just kidding. Go
buddy,
ahead.
buddy, and this is going out to anybody watching this right now. Watching this right now. All three of Emerald's films, and I haven't enjoyed any of them. I'm sorry. I I tried. I really did, man. I really did. I I
Okay.
promising young woman. I do remember the trailers coming out. I do remember the promotion, the hype surrounding it. I did want to see it when it came out in theaters. I just never got around to it because it was still like late 2020. COVID was still sort of a thing like that. I I just never really
Yeah.
got around to it. I did get around to it afterwards when I went on the streaming. I don't really remember my thoughts from back then, but I do think I enjoyed it the first time around that much. So this is like my first time like going into it with like a fresh brand new perspective or whatnot. And again, I don't know if this was just the cynicism carrying over from Wuthering Heights, or again if Emerald Fennell has always been like this. But the second time around watching this, it was like really, it was. I actually found it kind of difficult to sit through. I didn't
You saw
exactly
it
mark the first
twice?
one on Letterboxd.
Oh my gosh, dude. I didn't know you saw this twice. More power to you. Why did you not like Promising Young Woman, though? I'm very curious because, like, that's one of the few letters things on Letterboxd that actually have 5 stars on
I kept
is
seeing
Promising
it
Young Woman.
over
So
and
I'm like,
over and over and over again, and it's like a part like like a part of me gets it. I really do. It's I mean I mean, the one consistent thing about Emerald Fennell that I can definitely say to all three of her films is that she is very bold. She is very daring with her directing style and whatnot. And it's definitely a bit of a rare thing nowadays in Hollywood to have a director this bold, this daring, going out there saying "fuck you, I'm doing this my way, whether you like it or not." And in a way, I do have to kind of respect her for that. At least it does make her at least someone that's very interesting to watch. And as far as Promising Young Woman, like for this to being like her film debut, again, it is sort of impressive. Like on at first glance, the cinematography is drop dead gorgeous. The feminine poppy aesthetic makes it, again, it's beautiful to look at. A much better job is done attempting to intermingle the tension with some of the cutting, clever humor. I do say some. And at first glance, the dark subject matter of this plot is handled with a lot more poise and care, to where I can definitely appreciate the intent behind this narrative. Make it a playfully provocative rape revenge satire about gender politics and entitlement through one person's quest to pretty much expose the town's patriarchal structures. It has that sort of mode to it, to where it's designed to feel like a really difficult watch, and it never shies away from what it wants to be. Then again, that is the key word, wants, because there's a key difference between what the story wants to be and what the story actually ends up becoming, and that to me really frustrated me, and then sort of cheapened the other production elements around it, trying to make it look more poised and elegant and important than it actually was. There's like a lot of moral, logical quandaries that don't really get explained around this premise, and I know I'm gonna go on a tangent about this anyways, but long story short, it's a movie that tries to have its cake and eat it too, to make up for how little it has to say beyond the subject, beyond what we already know about the subject. It's not that it's not impossible to tell a story of violation and the quest for revenge with this kind of double-edged ambiguity, but this is a movie that just limps along from one unsatisfying confrontation to the next, infested to the brim with so many hollow, unlikable characters acting as parodies of stereotypical archetypes. Even if Cassie as a character came very close to working for me, but it muddles the already murky waters of the story into something very, very hollow and shallow. Because, for what it does get right about sexual assault, there's like a dozen other themes, like the treatment of consent, accountability, rape culture, the inability to move on, causing even greater harm, and the thorough line of victimhood for white femininity. Those themes are either briefly hinted at subversion, only to carry on without actually doing anything further, or they just outright contradict what the film was setting up. There's like an entire subplot said to be built up around an underwhelming twist. The very construction of Nina's tragic circumstances and what they mean to Cassie, it's just nothing more than a flimsy idea just to motivate her. It keeps playing stuff up entirely for shock value, and it's one of those movies that so proudly insists upon itself, at least to me, instead of directing its energies to properly conveying its message in a way that actually means something. It unapologetic. There's something very counterproductive about this direction and the way it maddeningly talks down to the audience like they're children, and it only worsens the heavy-handed messaging of anything. And that definitely includes the ending, which, okay, the ending already was controversial in the beginning, because look, on one hand, as a sickening bait and switch, as much as it does kind of make a bit of a grim sense, there's obviously like there's this giving tree style message to it, and it just, again, it really didn't work. It really didn't work for me. You're underlying this supposed revenge plot with a crushing sense of discord and nihilism that pretty much robs the main character of everything the quest for vengeance was meant to give her in the first place. I don't give a shit if it's meant to withhold catharsis. It's still a slap in the face to all the victims out there who have actually gone through sexual assault and are at least trying to recover. At least like the ones who are still here. It's and oh god, and again, this just came after I was watching Wuthering Heights. So with that still fresh in my head, and all the issues from that sort of just carried on over to this, and I was like, okay, this is a pattern. I'm not really liking what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Sounds
Huh?
about
I
right.
disagree with almost everything you said, bro. I love that movie. I love, like, I do feel like it's talking down to the audience because I think that a lot of people need to be talked down to when it comes to like this type of thing. Like I don't know if this film is like for like I don't know. I think it was meant to preach to men of like this is what this looks like, this is how this feels like, and like as someone that works in that field a little bit, I found that a lot of like the interactions were satisfying to me, even though they didn't get like closure in it. Like for example, like her interaction with the dean, where she's like, "Oh, mom, I just dropped off your daughter in the same apartment where you guys sexually assaulted my friends," and she kind of freaks out, and like nothing happens technically because that didn't really happen, but the lady feels like a similar fear because she knows like what goes on in those dorms. The defense attorney kind of like asking for forgiveness um, after like all that he's done. Like I gotta tell you, bro, like, I've met some really shitty defense attorneys that do some really awful stuff to get these kids and these girls, these women, to like keep their mouth shut and to feel intimidated. And seeing a repentant, like for me, like a repentant defense attorney was like, oh, that's actually very nice to see. And the ending were essentially like spoiler alert for no one that's seen Promising Young Women. Bro, when Renee hears this too, she's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
kick
why I
your
was
ass
hoping
because
to get it on
she's
the
a
spot.
stan of Promising Young Women like me. I'm
I
a
knew
big
you two were gonna combat me on this, and I'm like, this is a chance to change my mind.
we're total stans, and like when she dies at the end, like gosh, I wish that was like, spoiler alert. I wish that was like not uncommon, but it's actually like more common than I'd like to admit with Promising Young Woman. And so someone, and I can be honest, someone that has revenge fantasies against some of these people, like for me, Promising Young Woman was probably a more satisfying revenge fantasy film for me than I'll ever get in real life. So like maybe I'm just holding on to like the nostalgia the first time I saw it, where like all these people are feeling fear. Like the guy, like the quote where she's in it, where she's like a guy's like, well, being falsely accused is a guy's worst nightmare, and her being like, oh, can you imagine what a woman's worst nightmare is? And
I do admit
oh man, like
was
I love
that I
watching
do
that.
admit was admittedly a pretty good line. And to be fair, maybe this is
Yeah,
me being a little bit too much of an intellect. And to be fair, this is probably just me being a bit of an intellectual snob. I've never exactly been to that situation. My immediate family hasn't really exactly been in a situation, at least not that they've told me it in a way. But in a way, it's like go back to what you said about some of these films needing to dumb down the message for people to understand it. I have sort of relayed that also in other reviews regarding racism or sexism or stuff like that. I do agree somewhat that sometimes some messages are better. Some movies are better off dumbing down the message so the mass audience can get it, because the issue surrounding it is that serious that somebody has to sort of like get it in there. So it's like it's I don't it's I don't know, man. It's
you're not wrong, bro. Like like even like I'll bring it back to this. Like the issue of like sexual assault has to be dumbed down for me because I'm a guy, but not as much as like other things. Like a message that I know was dumbed down for someone like me to help me understand was like the concept of racism in Black Panther. Like I learned so much from like those movies about like the experience of people who are African American because the message was maybe dumbed down enough to where someone like me that's like I gotta be honest, bro. Like I probably have not experienced that much racism like in my life, and to have that message conveyed where the main villain he's kind of pissed off at people of his own race because they've held back like these life-saving technologies and weapons where people that look just like them are being enslaved and abused and discriminated against like across the world. Like I remember the first time I watched that like in 2018 when that came out, and I was like, why like what, oh my gosh. And then you actually like go into like that world and start having conversations with people, and like just it's like I remember like the stuff that I found out and like what people experience on a day-to-day basis that don't share my same skin color, and I was heartbroken, bro. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Like this actually is like not just happening, but happening like on a massive scale in 2018, like back when I saw that film. I think that's when that came out. And I know the message was dumbed down. I know it was. But sometimes, that I think that's what it takes for someone to get the message to specific
I
people.
that bit I definitely that bit I definitely do understand. It's a good thing you brought up the racism because that's gonna come back around to Wuthering Heights in a bit of a weird way. I I could definitely understand on your behalf why. I could definitely understand why someone would like it. Again, again, it's just opinions at the end of the day. Everyone's opinions are going to differ, and
I did.
you know, cinema's meant to be subjective. It's just I don't. It's just it just didn't really hit to me. And
Oh, I've got well. It's totally cool if you like Promising Young Women didn't hit for you. It hit for me in a big way. I didn't know this was her first directing, like her first movie. But like for someone like you who sees her as 0 for 3, I don't blame you for not liking Promising Young Women because I watched Saltburn and I did not like it at all. And like it's weird, like the reviews on it are like in the mid 70s or something on Rotten Tomato, and like I have like a specific like review process that I listen to. I'll glance at the Rotten Tomato scores because sometimes I think the audience is totally right, but then like when they review bomb shit, you're like, well, what do you guys know? Sometimes I feel like the critics are like looking for something specific, but what I found is that you have to kind of dig in like this algorithm driven world for creators that are honest about their thoughts and feelings toward a movie that aren't looking for like clickbait or like for the comments and the controversy and to boost like their followers and stuff. And I found like my group of creators, you being one of them, that is just brutally honest about like the movies
I
that
did
you
my
see
best.
and your legit thoughts on them. And I bring this back to like
I
Wuthering
did
Heights
actually want
because
to
I
talk
know
about. I
Saltburn I
actually
talked
did want
about.
to talk about
I
Saltburn for a
didn't
little
like it,
bit.
but I, oh, you totally can. I'm just with Wuthering Heights. Like that's my process that I go to when I'm like a movie I'm on the fence about. Of like, will I see it or won't I see it? I kind of do that process. I look at Rotten Tomatoes. I look at creators that I trust. You being one again, and then kind of make a decision. And after I like saw the creators that I trust, they were just like, oh, this film is kind of boring. I don't know what they're trying to convey here. How do you put the two most beautiful people in the world and make it so boring? I decided I was probably not going to invest the money in seeing it. And you being one of those creators that I read your review and it was like, ouch. But anyway, go back to Saltburn. Why? So I can see like having that experience with Wuthering Heights, and then going backwards and watching her films. I can see how you could get the Promising Young Woman and be like, I can't believe I have to watch. She's over 2, and now I'm going
I
over 3.
was very close to
Anyway,
actually being surprised by Saltburn. Of all the films in her catalog, Saltburn was actually the closest to working for me. It was at least the most intriguing film by default, which makes it all the more infuriating when it can't help but to eat itself like near the end. It's I mean it has many of the same positives, I guess. Cinematography is gorgeous. The detailed production design has this boxed in claustrophobic feel for the most part. The atmosphere is it's vivid, but it doesn't stay immersive for long. And Anthony Willis' score, it's it's lively, it's stirring, it's intended to feel that way in a way. It's like from the visuals alone, it's a bunch of glamorous fragrance that wants to complement its opulence through Emerald Fennell's kiddish delirium, and it's at least executed in a way where the bizarreness, at least from the visualist perspective, is like it's supposed to look intentional, as a retro portal to like the mid 2000s or whatnot. And again, at least from how the film looks. As far as the story, this is where I sort of fell into that little trap because, again, it showed promise, it carried its staunch momentum to a believable point where I thought, okay, this film actually is kind of working on me, right up until it didn't. It, if you were to look at it, there are two ways you can look at this, either as an eat the rich storyline or as a character study for Oliver, and I'm not sure if it improves whether you lean from one view to the other. On one hand, as a character study, I do like the use of Greek mythology used as a narrative tool to draw parallels between Oliver's actions and the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. It does add a rich, if not heavy-handed, layer of symbolism among many others, and on top of that, you don't really know the direction the film is actually going for like the first few minutes. But then again, that's just like the first few minutes and like the first act. Once we get inside the manor, once it realigns itself, it's like a race to the bottom for me at least. The narrative gets irritatingly derivative and it gets there fast. Like it tries way harder than expected to be very steamy and transgressive in a straightforward way, and it can't help, if you know what I'm talking about, you know the scenes that I'm talking about. The grave, the graveyard and the bath, and just all that stuff that had in that Raven back in 2023. And even those scenes, I can't help but feel like they're very tame because they don't really connect to anything unless unless you really want to go deeper and have it be portrayed that Oliver wants to be, Jacob Elordi. But it's like but again, it's like the instance on shock value over actual substance. You have a lot of plot twists just bludgeoning you over the head, and there's like rather flimsiness for what it's. I'm really trying not to go like on a tangent. I'm really trying not to go like on a tangent here, but again, it's just another one of those movies that actively gets off on shocking you for the sake of a reaction. It's like Freddy got fingered all over again, and it's like it's it's so heavily conclusive when the entire purpose of this feels specifically designed just like to bait the algorithm in the most pretentious fashion possible. So again, we're stuck with another film with its head so far up its own ass because of its own inflated sense of self-importance. And not to mention the depiction of the ultra wealthy is just like very shallow, overly broad, and again, its themes of class disparity, obsessiveness, personality, lust, envy, they don't really get explained. It's just a bunch of lip service. The characters aren't really that interesting at the end of the day. It's just sort of the thing. Do you see? It's like, do you see the pattern here?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I can see how that trope would really drive you nuts too.
You mentioned you weren't a fan.
Huh. I was not a fan.
It was
no, and but you thought that this was the best of the three.
I don't know if I go so far as to say it. I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess because again, I mentioned it was the closest to actually working. I mean, it was the most interesting one, at least by default. It felt like the closest to. Okay. Really Promising Young Woman was the film that felt like it actually was saying something important, but at the same time, it bungled that so hard, and it's like it's honestly a toss up, but at least. I guess the best way I can describe it is that at least Saltburn doesn't feel like it's being weird for the sake of it. Well, actually, I don't know, man. I don't know with these movies. Like it's hard to pick out like a best one from. It's hard to pick out like a best one out of these three because they all have the exact same flaws as well as the exact same list of positives, just amplified with each entry.
Huh. So, well, I guess was Wuthering Heights the first time you seen one of her films? It was the first time I saw
one of her films in.
Like in theaters?
It was the first time I saw one of her films in theaters. Yes.
Because I'm wondering if you now it makes sense because I was like, well, if you like the first two, why would you go see the next one? But it makes sense now where it's like you went in and then you were like, I gotta see if this is like. Well, I guess you could go into you should go into your review of Wuthering Heights first because like I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like obviously I read your review. Your review played a big part into like whether I went or not. And so like I know you've got it pulled up, bro, because I know you do. So like I'm just fascinated that you saw it and then you decided I think I need two more experiences of something similar like this. Like, it's fascinating.
I mean when I went to you and said I got to get on the pod, I got to talk about this. Like I wasn't exactly planning on that either. It just sort of fell into my lap. I had a lot of time on my hands. I was still I'm still applying for jobs elsewhere. I'm still not really getting anywhere, so I figured okay, maybe I'll check it out because again, once I remembered who she was, everything just sort of started falling into place, and it's like, okay, how exactly am I going to approach this? Because and right off the bat with Wuthering Heights, it felt really. It honestly felt weird, like just from the hype and the marketing and the marketing stage because and forgive me for talking about myself here, but it's one of those things where going into this, I was just looking at this straight as a movie. I knew nothing about the book. I knew nothing about like its umpteenth level of adaptations beforehand. I was just going into this looking looking like a really weird love story, and then, well, I do admit I did sort of peek at some of the like previews, and as well as like potential predictions like beforehand, because I was very confused as to why the film was getting the reaction that it was. But again, but again, I never read the book, never saw the adaptation beforehand. I was going in blind. So when I finally did get around to it, even as someone who never even read the book, I knew this was not doing it for me. And I don't know if it was due an astonishing lack of care or foresight. It honestly left me bewildered at the end of the day. That was one. This became one of those instances where I knew nothing about it beforehand. I went home not liking it. Then I researched about it, and I ended up liking it even less.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, like I pulled up on just like the core premise of the movie, and how like even like, people are calling it like one of the darkest romances ever. That Heathcliff, is that how you pronounce her name? It's basically a villain. It's actually not a romance. It's actually a story of like generational trauma, and the setting itself is basically a character. So I mean, and like it's like I never read the book. I've never read the book, so I had no concept of it going in. I was interested in like the movie as a whole because of the casting. Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie, I think, are two of the most beautiful people that walk this planet. And like you see the promotional material, but like for me, like with the creators that I trust, that are real cinephiles, are in this theater every single week with that disposable income that I don't know how they're finding. Their reaction to it, I was just like, oh, I'll probably skip this then if it's that bad. And I mean, based on everything you said, I mean, it sounds like this might make one of your list of.
It's definitely one of those
your shit list at the end of the year.
Where again, not knowing about the book, doesn't exactly stop you from hating it, but it does make it worse when you do, because you're right about the book. It's not a romance at all. It's a very, very dark story, very dark, very passionate, very turbulent. It's pretty much a ghost story about obsession and revenge, and just it is nothing at all. It is nothing at all what this movie portrays it as. Let alone most adaptations of Wuthering Heights. Most adaptations of Wuthering Heights, by the way, they Wuthering Heights follows two acts in the book. The first act basically starts with Kathy and Heathcliff, and the first act sort of ends with spoilers, Kathy dying, and Heath. Well, the second act basically follows like the kids after the fact, and that's sort of when it becomes a ghost story, and Heathcliff sort of turns into this utter monster who is somehow even worse than the people who abused him. He has not let go, and so he's going to make sure everybody suffers from it. And here's the yeah. Also, Heathcliff in the novel, he wasn't white. The book.
So cast
they've been doing
a
it. They've been
white
doing
actor
this since
to
the very
play
first
a
Wuthering Heights
colored
adaptation
role?
in 1939. Yeah. It really,
Dude,
it really is.
that
There are
sucks.
like only
That's
there are
unfortunate.
two adaptations of Wuthering Heights that I would actually recommend. The 1992 version with the 1992 version stars Ralph Fiennes, and again they do whitewash Heathcliff, but at the very least it actually bothers to tell like the whole entire story. And then there's another one from and then there's another one from 2011. It actually does present a more color accurate Heathcliff, and it's definitely so. It's really there are like a dozen ways in which I can skin this cat, and I don't think there's like a and I don't think there's like a I don't think there's like a really good way to start. So I guess I'm just gonna start with how this film looks, because again, common thread, it looks beautiful, but at the same time, that's sort of all it does. At the very least, this film does shoot this. This film is shot in this film is shot in Yorkshire, so in a way it does briefly help with the engrossment at first. The elegant, the windswept landscapes. It helps create a visually rich backdrop for the characters' more volatile relationship. It arguably tells the story more clearly than the script does itself, and it makes sense given that the time period lays the groundwork for a world in which violence and passion sort of have to commingle in the mud. The story was created back in the 1800s, by the way, so in a way that does sort of help with the immersion. But again, unless you've actually been to the parsonage and the moors itself, which is where the story is set up in the book, and it does exist in real life. Unless you've actually been there yourself, it's not gonna feel it, even despite being there like in real time. It doesn't really feel all that immersive. Like the atmospheric constriction and systematic anchoring of the moors, acting as a living reflection of human turmoil, has been stripped out, and it sacrifices a broader scope and scale as a result. The film honestly feels like a relentless fashion shoot. And even if you do get like on the film's wavelength or whatnot, like the way Emerald wants you to look at it, the presentation, again, sometimes it's a fashion shoot, other times it's like an artificial music video, like I don't know, like a Barbie Alice in Wonderland dollhouse. Kind of ironic, because Margot Robbie was also in Barbie. It's like okay. The second I put together that connection, by the way, a lot of bells started ringing off. Gio. Sorry, I didn't say anything. Sorry.
What's up?
It's kind of it's also kind of weird too, because if you look back at like the countless interviews that Emerald Fennell has had in regards to this book, her saying she wanted to invoke the feeling, her wanting to invoke the feeling that she had when she read the book for the first time at 14. I'm struggling to put together what kind of book she read, because because what she put together wasn't exactly what happened. Oh man, it honestly feels very tone deaf. I'm really trying to be mindful not to classify it as what, like, sheer unabashed pant-dropping, butthole brandishing contrarianism or sadomasochism at the very least. But it's kind of hard not to do that. It's kind of hard not to take that bait when everything else feels very, very random. Oh god. Oh god, I haven't even mentioned the fact that Charlie XCX was on the soundtrack. It's the damn thing is so unbelievably on the nose. Like it couldn't be any more sparse or off-putting. I mean, sure, mixing the classical with the modern pop techno fever. There are some bits where it can work, but it feels very TikToky. Like the entire thing feels like a very TikTokification of vibes over everything else. And for the love of all that is holy, if I have to hear, for the love of all that is holy, if I have to hear "Shattering Line Glass" one more time, I swear. Oh God. The amount of times I had to hear that song when I was looking at other people's reviews on it. Oh God, it drove me crazy before I even saw the film. And I was like, oh God, not this. Oh my God, don't you dare.
Well, make sure you check out our post tomorrow on mute because that's probably the song that we'll use with the post. Just kidding. Just kidding. We won't. We'll find another one. I saw a new I misremembered how what you gave this movie.
Honestly, when I found out
I
about
thought
what
you
was
gave it a
missing and when
five.
it
Dude,
cut
you
out,
gave this thing a
there was no way
three.
I was giving it. There was no way I was giving it 5. There was no way I was giving it 5.
So what did it do to was it I mean you mentioned like the only good thing and this is universal with like the small creators that I follow. The only good thing about this movie was like the cinematography and the way it was shot and like the locations and the way the movie looks is really beautiful. Like that was the main positive that the small creators that I follow were mentioning. Um, Other than that, like they just commented just it's it, it's morally disturbing. The movie is just dark, like it's like hard to look at
And
like in a
And
theater.
Emerald basically took
Like
all
it
of that
doesn't
subtext
quite
from the
know
book and
like
turned
what
it
it
into
wants to
like
be,
a
and like
she basically turned it into porn. It kind,
God. So is that what
in a
her
way,
thing is? Like in
in a
this
way, it
movie, is
kind of
like
is the
instead of
shock
like the
value
shock
because in
value,
a way
she's
they're sort of
trying to
sexualizing abuse,
bring people in
and
because
it's
of
like oh
pornography.
God, oh God, it's like kiss. Considering the character,
Like a Fifty
considering the
Shades of
characters
Grey
that were stuck with,
situation.
maybe,
How much?
maybe, I do admit I wasn't exactly sure if anybody was gonna like agree on the acting because everyone had like different sort of perspectives on whether the acting was good or not, and whether the acting was good or not, or whether it was just the direction and whatnot. I was so torn like on both bits because there's like for every like intense presence posted by like heightened commitment, the rest are either strained or like theatrical in the worst way. Every performance feels pushed to the brink of pantomime, even if the arcs they get in the context of this have earned. Not since I'm not exaggerating. Not since 50 Shades of Grey in 365 days have I had to contend with characters this dumb and this toxic to this degree. Based on what I've read in the book, this is purely meant to be by design. But it definitely does. But it definitely doesn't. It's definitely a lot more infuriating who when everybody's aged up from who they originally were in the novel, and I don't know. I don't know. Everybody takes a lot getting used to, and none of them will exactly feel that natural at the end of the day. Some I'm I am convinced that the only reason either Elordi and Robbie were casted in this was because Emerald Fennell has literally admitted that she has a crush on Jacob Elordi, and the only thing that makes sense to me is that Robbie was the only one she could find that resembled a self-insert, so she could live out her fantasy through her. That like you cannot convince me otherwise. It is oh Lord.
Dude, well, clearly whatever she did worked. Like I just throw in, like into chat a comparison between like how much money it brought in, and I threw in 28 years later the Bone Temple as like a comparison because like as you know, you're on my podcast with Renee. That was my most anticipated of 2026, and it's totally bombing at the box office. And Wuthering Heights, like It brought in opening weekend $82 million, while 28 years later has brought in around 58 million worldwide so far. So like clearly whatever she did like brought people in seats and which sucks, but so I guess whatever she wanted to do as far as like
I
marketing wise, even though the
mean,
movie sucked, at least got people to buy
you also
tickets.
mentioned this on previous podcasts. Except, but you mentioned this in regards to nostalgia, though. But like, I don't know. I
Yep. Nope. You're a good point. Yep. You will. That's a great point. Nostalgia, even if based on a book that came out like whenever it came out, it will still bring in a certain amount of people because we as adults chase that feeling. You know, we chase that feeling. I saw that He-Man trailer. I assume that He-Man will be bad. Can't wait to fucking see it. Can't wait. Same with like Mortal Kombat. Like
That's
the last
that
Mortal
is
Kombat was
exactly
fine.
how I'm
This
feeling
one
towards
might
this
be
Mortal Kombat.
okay.
I
You
also
know,
felt the
they've
same
had
way
some reshoots and they've done some
towards
everything
towards
could be
like the last
good or
one in
bad.
like 2021. I remember giving it what four and a half for some reason. Maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm just not really big into the games outside of the lore and the story. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I got to go back and rewatch it, to sort of like refresh myself. But still, but still, like at the very least, you can at least tell that whoever put it together had at least a basic understanding about what made the games click and 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 everything else. But then again, that's also the thing. That's also based like on
Yeah.
existing IP that's also gone through like various highs and lows over 30 plus years and beyond. And this this is the only film of Emerald so far that's like based on somewhat of an existing IP, and the only thing that this narrative gets right that's even like remotely identical to the book is just the basic blueprint of how people forming a trauma bond around each other doesn't exactly make for the best relationship. How tortured souls will weaponize their own unhappiness, their positive tendencies, their destructive codependency, in a bid to gain some emotional stability or control over other people, I guess. And even that is from the excessive overuse of taking a blunt tool to a complex work, because Emerald spends like the entire like 2.5 hour runtime. And keep in mind, all of her films have sort of dragged out to like what 1 hour and 50 minutes, 2 hours at best, and it's like she's constantly jamming this square package around hole, and she barely gets any mileage out of it outside from an admittedly clever opening shot where, well, well, I I don't well. This will determine whether you see the film or not. The the opening shot of this film, like you have the beginning, you have the opening credits sort of coming along, and there's like sounds in the background of a man groaning. So automatically your mind sort of goes to he's having sex. It turns out no, the man's actually being hanged and he has a boner. You see what I mean? I, I,
Dude, what the fuck? Just
this,
weird.
this, the second, and keep in mind, it's a public execution too. So when I saw that, I just knew, this is gonna go one or two ways, and I'm not sure I'm really gonna like it. I mean, I mean to be, I, I mean, the original source material sort of juggles. The original source material juggles stuff like that all the time. It's like different kinds of abuse: romantic, systematic racism, classism, domestic, societal isolation, consequences of repression, colonial anxiety, you know. And instead of using Kathy and Heathcliff to sort of forcibly carry out those events and themes, they're turned into victims of Shakespearean
Yeah.
circumstance amongst a sea of watered down, surface level contradictions that I guess siphon out most of the nested complexity of the novel. It tells you one thing, it shows you something else, and honestly, I can't buy into the dumb romance or the class divide or any of the other tragically fucked up stuff that happens or that it wants to clip from the novel if you're not really going to treat it with the proper gravitas it's meant to be presented it. And again, that's sort of carried on from the rest of Emerald's films. It insists so highly upon itself that it can't even commit to its own twisted raciness. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. But basically, it can't even commit to its own bonkers self that the marketing made us believe that the marketing made us believe that it was going to be like the entire marketing, the entire hype surrounding this kept calling it the greatest love story of all time. And as I saw the movie, I'm like, yeah, bullshit it is. There's no reason to call it. There's no reason to call it that. Like, say what you will. Like, even one of my even one of my favorite movies of all time, Romeo and Juliet. You know, the source material doesn't it's the story at least makes it clear from the offset that it's meant to be a tragedy. The source material doesn't romanticize it. The more so or less interrogates why we do it and, sort of call it perverse. And I can very so nearly say that this film does something similar, if not for, the generational structure being gone, the anger being sanded down, the politics stripped away, and that's on top of two characters being recasted as Vietnamese and Pakistani, and then turning them into controlling or jealous antagonists. And okay, yeah, I'm going back over this again, and that's not even like the worst thing. And that's not even the worst thing about it. They turned someone from the novel into a sympathetic nymph who likes their abuse, the portrayal of the poor as sexual deviants, and the rich as clueless prudes, nobody being, again, the proper age to sort of sell the endless drain of young people dragging everyone down by stupid, ill-timed decisions. It's like, do I also need to remind you that if you look at the poster, and if you look at, like, the other visual references and shots, they come straight from Gone with the Wind.
Crazy, bro. That bad, huh? Well, first time we've done a movie review where it's 3 out of 10 stars on your list, so this is definitely a first for Locked Off Logic. So kudos to you and kudos to us for 3 out of 10.
I'm not exactly sure when the next one is going to be. So that one's also going to be kind of explosive. At least that's the intention. Like, I didn't even.
Which one is that?
I never said a name. I'm just saying if I do run into one like that later.
Okay. I know this week we got a couple movies coming out. I think The Bride is coming out with I think the Peaky Blinders movie, The Immortal Man, is coming out on Netflix and in theaters, I think. I've never finished Peaky Blinders, the series, which I know a lot of people are going to be really pissed off that I said that. My brother loves that series, but for whatever reason, I haven't finished it. I never saw it. Did you ever see Crime 101? I never saw Crime 101.
I was thinking about it. I wasn't exactly. I mean, from what I saw in the trailers, it didn't exactly look all that intriguing at the end of the day. But then again, there's this thing in me where it's like you're never gonna know whether you enjoy something or not unless you go and see it for yourself. It's sort of the way that I look at wrestling, because I am actually a wrestling fan. It's sort of the way I look at that. It's either gonna be really good, really mid, or really bad, and you're never really gonna know until you see it for yourself. I was planning on it, but I never really got around to it. I did have the weirdest chance to do so though, because there actually was going to be like a question and answer segment with Crime 101 like on my birthday, but I couldn't exactly make time for that. So that's a bit of something. I don't really know. I don't really know how that would have gone.
It's gotten really good reviews. Like that's the thing is like it's a pretty universally like acclaimed. I guess like acclaimed.
The good reviews.
Everyone's like,
the good reviews are consistent.
Not
basically.
Bad. Yeah. Interesting, huh? I think what is my next? I don't even know what my next movie in theaters is. I still haven't seen. Well, I got Scream 7. I know that's making a ton of money, but I haven't seen Scream 1 through 6.
You got it. Okay. I know. All
right, bro. Let me see. Where can I find the Scream movie? I have to pay for a streaming service to host them, right? Like I have to.
You sure you want to see them on Paramount? Because, well, yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I do not.
Exactly.
That
you don't want to do that.
So
exactly.
bad.
You don't want to do that.
No, I'm so mad at that because like I just finished the new Game of Thrones, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is awesome. so good. You know, run by HBO, made by HBO, and then I just started last night Marshalls on Paramount Plus. That shit is terrible.
I actually saw that review.
So
I actually
bad.
saw that review, and I was like, no way, you actually gave this a 3 out of 10.
Wow. Well, you know, I liked Yellowstone. You know, it was kind of filmed in my backyard. I really liked the setting, and I liked the character of Casey Dunn. But man, this was just terrible. Like the dialogue and the action. I'm like, what is this like 1950s cowboy movie with like humor and stuff? And like Taylor Sheridan has to be stopped. And oh my gosh, like I was driving the other day and someone commented, "Oh, I'm so glad that Paramount bought Netflix so they can rid us of the woke shit." I'm like, bro, the woke shit is what makes these shows interesting. Like, you want more shows like
Stay louder for
Marshall
the people in the back.
and Yellowstone? No, that's like, and like me and Renee talk about this too. It's like, what does woke mean to you? Woke is like, what is it? Like, well, you know, pushing a certain sort of agenda. It's like, oh, you mean showing experiences of different people? Like, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's a white guy and his white companion. So you get like there's white guys, right? There's white guys in this world. Freaking The Last of Us, you got a lesbian character. There are lesbians in this world, you know. There are lesbians. They're like Sinners now, and like I said, my buddy, he was God bless him, but he was like, well, you know, Sinners is the most viewed movie on Paramount Plus, and it's just woke. And I was like, have you seen Sinners? And like, well, no, I haven't technically seen it, but I've listened to.
Go see it for yourself. Make up your own opinion, man.
Talking about it, I'm just like, exactly. It's like, yep, make up your own opinion, and I'm just like, if this is what the future holds for Warner Brothers, that's produced by Paramount, and it's quality like Marshall's, I will just rewatch this stuff that I've already seen 1,000 times, because that I would rather D Money, I shit you not, I would rather sit down and rewatch all of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul than watch another second of Marshall.
That wouldn't be such a bad idea. There actually is there actually is a place where you can watch most of the Scream films for free.
Okay, that's what I'm looking up right now as we're watching. I'm gonna start watching it, bro.
Pluto TV. You can watch most of the Scream. You can watch most of the Scream films there for free. The only exception would be the fifth film, because I don't remember seeing the fifth film on there. But that's besides the point. And yeah, I know I've said I'm not gonna see Scream 7, at least until it comes out on streaming. I don't want to give money to that cause, but at the same time I was also sort of going back and forth on that, because really if you're boycotting that, you're not exactly. Oh god, this is such a landmine. I don't really know if I want to discuss this right now, but yeah, I feel like it's gonna be better if me and Renee all do the pod when we've seen all the movies together, and we get this one big giant thing going, you know.
One big giant ranking. Okay, well, yeah, like I totally get people when boycotting it. Like if that's how they want to like choose like their protests and stuff. Like I totally get it. It has made a shit ton of money. Like those numbers came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, $92 million opening weekend. Like who says cinema is dead?
Literally just said it. Nostalgia sells. And
yep, it does. Yep.
Okay. I'm looking on here. Yeah, actually, every Scream film is on Pluto TV. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it. Cool, bro. Though, what else you got to say about Wuthering Heights, man? I know you had on here for an hour. We'll keep this one short because I gotta go to get some dinner. But man, just like I don't want to leave anything on the table as far as like your thoughts on Wuthering Heights, and I'm guessing you wouldn't recommend it to people because it sounds like it's total shit. But you've given a lot of thoughts to that and Promising Young Woman, which, whatever.
I know Renee's gonna tear my head off.
I don't want to leave anything on the table. Is like if there's anything else that you've got. Oh yeah, when this clip comes out, I'm gonna tag and be like, "Hey, go get him!
Look,
go get him!"
Look, Renee, I'm sorry. I'm just saying it the way I'm just saying it the way I see it. Maybe I did miss a couple of stuff, but it's like this consistent thing through all three of Emerald's movies, and with this being like the first that I've seen in theaters, and then having to go back to like the previous ones, honestly, when I got out of Wuthering Heights, I really disliked it. Now I actively hate the film's Weasley Black Guts out because not only just being a toxic fan online it's just more prone to turn more people against you. It's definitely a testament to it's a testament to how much Emerald either hasn't learned from her errors from the previous films, or how much or the fact that she's just doubling down on like all of her worst vices as a director and a writer. And it's just it makes me question what all of this is even for, because we have 3 movies in a row that flirted to talk about actual real life subjects and just didn't really amount to really talking about anything. And it just felt like her doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Again, I may be talking out my ass here, but that's just what I'm seeing. That's just how I'm feeling. That's just what my real world experience is sort of relaying onto this. And it's insane.
Yeah. I'm checking your review right now. You didn't get a lot of heat for your review on Wuthering Heights, did you? Oh god, there's 21 comments on this.
Because
I
had a lot to say. I wasn't just gonna. It's also it's funny you say that, because I mentioned my friend Gabby, who I saw both Wicked films with. She did say she wished she could have joined, because she would have been able to give her perspective from a woman's standpoint. And honestly, I wouldn't. Exactly. It's.
I found her. Yep, I found her comment too. I think it's a perfect way to end the podcast too. I warned you, all caps. Also, friends, if your book girls are saying how bad
She's not wrong.
That's saying a lot. No. Damn, bro. Dude, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on this emergency pod, talk about Wuthering Heights. I'll probably ask you to do an emergency pod here next time I see a movie where I'm like, D, get on, we got to talk about this.
You better hope I've actually seen that movie.
Whether it be good or bad, whatever. Now, I don't know which one it's going to be yet, but so I honestly can't tell you what's the next movie I'm going to see in theaters. I honestly don't know. The next one I might see in theaters is The Revenant, because it's re-releasing for its 10-year anniversary, and I never got to see that in theaters. And so I may go see that one, bro. I was actually stationed in Ukraine when that came out. I was in Kyiv. I just missed it. I didn't want to go see it in Russian, so I went and just waited. And by the time I got home, it was already on streaming. And I really like to experience that in cinema. But as far as like new movies, I can't tell you the next one I'm going to see in cinema at this point.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna be resting. I am gonna finish that review and put it out as soon as this log. I am gonna finish that review on Mercy like as soon as we log off here. So there is that. But there also were. Yeah, I think this pretty much gonna be the extent of it. I think I'm just gonna relax after that. I will also say though again. Cool, man. We are gonna have to get around to the Scream 7 pod eventually. I am eventually gonna have to get around to seeing that, and that also means I'm gonna have to redo. I am gonna have to redo the rankings, because from what I've been hearing, the reveal in Scream 7 is like stupid, and it's like oh god.
Cool. I'll have to check it out too. I'll make my own ranking. We'll do it. Maybe we'll do like a Halloween special this year, like a return to Scream, and this time you'll be on with your new ranking. I'll be on with my first ranking that doesn't have Timothy Olyphant on it the first, just because I like him, and Renee with the front, because I know Renee, she loved Scream 7. Like I think she had a good time, so I wouldn't be surprised if her Ghost stays up at the top.
Give it a couple of months. We'll see how she feels.
All right, man. But listeners, if you made it this far, just want to thank you again. Check out Riptide on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. He's mainly active on Instagram. Give him a follow. Check him out. Leave a comment on his review. Give him shit for promising that woman. And bro, we will see you again very soon. And have a great rest of your night. And thanks for hopping on this emergency pod for Locked Off Logic to talk about the shitstorm that was Wuthering Heights.